right, let's dive into the dramatic start of a true classic. We're talking about an adventure where a single mysterious warning and a dead man's chest kick off one of the greatest treasure hunts of all time.
So, it all kicks off with this one terrifying question. See, for an old sea captain who's hiding out at this remote inn, it's not just some idle question, no, it's a premonition of doom. So, let's get right to it. What is the black spot? Okay, so picture this. We're at the Admiral Benbow Inn. And here we've got this sick, really paranoid old sea captain. He is living in constant fear that his past is about to catch up with him. And he just knows his old crewmates are on their way. And believe me, they are not coming for a friendly visit.
You can almost feel the captain's fear, right? He ends up confessing to the innkeeper's son, a young boy named Jim Hawkins, that his old crew, well, they aren't just coming for him. They're coming for what's in his sea chest, because that chest holds a secret left behind by the legendary pirate Captain Flint. And these guys will stop at absolutely nothing to get their hands on it.
So he gives Jim these super urgent instructions, putting this huge weight on this young kid's shoulders. He tells him the black spot is the trigger. If that thing shows up, Jim needs to run. He's got to get to Dr. Livesey, get the law involved, and not just to save the captain, but to trap the entire pirate crew. I mean, the stakes are just through the roof right from the very beginning.
Well, that feeling of dread the captain has, it doesn't stay just a feeling for very long. His warning basically sets the stage for a truly menacing arrival. We're about to meet the person who's going to turn this vague threat into a very, very real terror.
So it's a cold, foggy afternoon, and suddenly this blind man appears, tapping his way down the road. Now, you might feel a bit of pity for him at first, but that vanishes the second he opens his mouth. His voice is described as cruel and cold. Yeah, it is immediately obvious this is no lost traveler. And his actions? Oh, they're even worse. He grabs young Jim with a grip like a vice and just blurts out this brutal threat. This man, we find out later his name is Pew, is incredibly single-minded and violent. He has one mission and one mission only: get to the captain.
And that leads us right to the big confrontation. Jim, terrified, leads the blind man to the captain, and you just see the color drain from the captain's face. Pew demands he hold out his hand and then presses something small into his palm. This is it. This is the moment of judgment. The warning has officially been delivered.
So this is it. This is the black spot. It's basically a formal pirate summons, which is just another way of saying it's a death sentence. On one side, it's just a piece of paper with a black smudge on it. But on the other side, a message that seals the captain's fate. He has until 10 o'clock tonight. Just a few hours left. But you know what? He doesn't even last that long. The shock is it's too much for him. He cries out 10 o'clock, grabs his throat, and just collapses on the floor, dead from a stroke. Think about that. The pirate's message was so powerful, it killed him without anyone even drawing a weapon.
Okay, so the captain's dead, and there's a crew of pirates set to show up by 10 o'clock. Jim and his mother are suddenly in this incredibly desperate situation. They've got to get the money the captain owed them from his sea chest and get out of there before his ruthless friends come back to collect. And in this amazing act of courage, they actually go up to the captain's room and pry open the chest. Inside, it's pretty much what you'd expect, right? Pistols, a bunch of foreign coins, silver. But underneath everything else, there's a small packet wrapped in cloth. And in this moment of pure instinct, Jim grabs the packet of papers instead of more money. A decision that changes everything.
And the timeline here is just crazy tight. The captain dies around 6. And while they're frantically trying to count out the coins they're owed, they hear it, the tapping of Pew's stick coming back. Then, a shout from the pirates gathering outside. So they grab what they can, Jim clutching those precious papers, and they bolt, fleeing into the night, literally just in the nick of time.
So the pirates, they storm the inn, but it's their frustrated shouts that give the whole game away. They find the money, sure, but that's not what they're really after. The true prize, what they keep calling Flint's papers, is gone. And they have a pretty good idea who took it: the boy. So Jim and his mom manage to escape all that chaos. The law officers eventually show up, the pirates scatter, and Jim is left holding this packet. He knows without a doubt that these papers are incredibly important. He's got to get them somewhere safe. He ends up being taken to the home of the local squire, a man named Trelawney.
And who should be there but the town's judge, Dr. Livesey? So now, in front of these two very respectable, important men, Jim finally hands over the mysterious packet that he risked his life for. So they listen to Jim's entire harrowing story. And once he's done, the calm, cool, and collected Dr. Livesey turns to the much more excitable Squire Trelawney, and he poses this really tantalizing question. See, the doctor, he gets it. He understands immediately what they might be holding in their hands. They open up the cloth packet, and inside, there are two things. First, there's an account book, and this thing details years and years of pretty horrific piracy and plunder by the infamous Captain Flint. But it's the second item that changes absolutely everything. A sealed paper that turns out to be a map. And there it is, the legendary map itself. It shows this whole island with landmarks, coordinates, all kinds of notes written on it. And most important of all, 3 red crosses. And right next to one of them are the words that are about to launch an entire voyage. Most of the treasure here. You know, the discovery of this map just transforms the entire situation in an instant. All that terror from the last few hours, it just evaporates. And it's replaced by this thrilling promise of adventure and, let's be honest, unimaginable wealth. And the Squire, he doesn't hesitate for a single second. He immediately announces that he's going to fund an expedition. He says, I'll get a ship in Bristol, I'll hire the crew. And just like that, he names himself Admiral, with Dr. Livesey as the ship's doctor and our hero, young Jim, as the cabin boy. But of course, Dr. Livesey is there to provide a sharp dose of reality. He warns the Squire that his excitement is making him talkative, a little too talkative, and he reminds him of the most important thing. They aren't the only people who know about this treasure. Those ruthless pirates who stormed the inn, yeah, they're still out there. And you better believe they want that map. So that's where things stand. We've got an expedition being planned, funded by gentlemen and led by a courageous young boy. But hunting them is a crew of absolutely bloodthirsty pirates who are convinced that treasure is rightfully theirs. It all comes down to a race to a remote island, which leaves us with the one big question: who is going to get there first?